Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Monday and another of my Monday messages. Thank you very much for joining me or for watching the replay. Really useful to know who watches on replay. So if you wouldn't mind just putting the hashtag replay in the comments, that would be really, really helpful. So I hope you all had a lovely weekend. For me, I had a lovely weekend too. This morning I'm talking about a really important part of something I'm doing at the moment, which is a kind of audit, a review of the way that I work in my practice, and what I want and what I don't want, and what is lighting me up and what isn't so much, and finding better ways of doing things, and also creating new offers for my lovely clients. So part of that process always is about looking at my values. And it's our values that really are at the core of most of what we do and how we behave and our relationships, and whether we feel threatened even, or upset or uncomfortable. Most of the time when we are in a kind of dispute with somebody, or we feel that they are transgressing something that we value, it is about a clash of values. And therefore, being able to understand our really core values is really, really important to things like being able to put very clear boundaries in place for ourselves, so to protect ourselves and to enable us to be fully in ourselves, authentically us. So and of course we all have hundreds of values, and we kind of shift the order of those, the priority order of those, without even knowing, in different situations. It can be really illuminating to actually spend some time on working out what those values are and the ripple effect of becoming conscious of them. So with that in mind, I thought today I would share what I think are my core values. And what I found interesting about it is that each of the values kind of leads into the next one, if you like. And I'm talking about the values that I hold that are a thread, really, that run through pretty much everything I do. And those are the ones that I want to encourage you to really be clear about, for your own sakes, but also because of the ripple effect of those leading into being able to understand when a relationship is maybe going astray, or certain aspects of relationships start to unravel a bit. You might want to sit down, for example, with your partner and re-examine, well, what are our values around parenting, or about relationships themselves? What am I valuing in an intimate relationship? And see, are you aligned in that? Is this something that your partner also values? What are his priority, or his or hers? What are their priorities, and what are your priorities? And how can you come together more? And that doesn't have to be in intimate relationships. It can be in any relationship. It can be in a kind of employer and employee relationship. It can be in your own business, which is what I'm doing at the moment. So what I identified is my absolute top value is freedom. And it's freedom that relates and runs as a thread through pretty much everything. it's about freedom of choice. It's about certainly freedom to know that I have autonomy over my own body, that I am free to choose what goes into my body and what goes onto my body. I'm free to choose clean air and food and water and medicine. I also value freedom financially, and that doesn't mean necessarily that I value, having tons and tons of money, being really, really rich, although I would love that. Definitely would love that, because I think of all the things I could do with that, all the good that I could do for myself and for my family and for other people too. Anyway, I digress. But financial freedom to me means that a lack of financial resources does not inhibit me from leading the life that I want to lead and making the choices that I want to choose. So it runs through that. And it also is the freedom to move around, to travel, to experience different things. So that's a big one. That's probably my biggest one. And I also value it as a right in other people as well. I think we all have the right to feel free. The next one, and they're not necessarily in this order, but they kind of fit nicely as a core set of values like this. Integrity. I really love the whole value of integrity because it has two core meanings for me. Integrity, the first meaning truth, honesty, principle. That I have strong principles that I am prepared to stick to in certain situations. Others, I can be fluid about them. The order changes. But inherently, that value on truthfulness and honesty and transparency is a high value for me. Integrity for me, though, has also another meaning. The literal meaning is that it's when we're together, when we're whole, when we are acting as one. So our heads, our hearts, and our guts are aligned, they're integrated, and that all the parts of us are integrated. And that, of course, is what forms my value about health systems, which is they need to be holistic. They need to understand the whole person. So again, that's a core value of mine that runs through everything. And I believe that it's only when we value integrity in that sense that we can reach another value of mine, which is authenticity. When we feel fully, authentically, wholly ourselves, and we know exactly what we need to continue feeling that way, and that we can actually embody that authenticity, and we can be making choices and behaving from that place of authenticity as much as is humanly possible. And in fact, actually, when we can do that, we are experiencing a very high degree of freedom. So they kind of all feed into each other. The next value, which is very high for me now, and it wasn't always, I devalued this, and that is the value of connection. Excuse me. Now it's a really important value for me. And when I say connection, I mean feeling connected and integrated. They kind of could be the same thing within ourselves, but also true soul-to-soul connections with other people, whether that's on a one-to-one basis or whether that's in a group situation. The value of connecting with others and knowing how much stronger that makes us actually, and how much more able, how much more freedom that actually gives us to feeling connected with a group of like-minded souls. But also understanding that even if they're not like-minded, we are all connected. We are all one, actually, and that anything we can do to enhance our value system and really embody it is going to have a ripple effect on all of us, on all the people around us immediately and the people that come behind them. There's a ripple effect that spreads outwards. We are all connected. And of course, not just with people, the value of feeling connected to nature, to the trees, to the plants, to the animals, to the air, to the sky, to the sea, all of that. Really, in my value system, that's a very important value. And how that plays out will depend on each different situation. I have a very high value in my system on information too, resources, if you like, feeling that I have access to all the information that I need in order to be fully, authentically me, to feel free, to feel whole, to be able to make the choices that I need in order to have me feeling safe, loved, connected, authentic, all of those things. And knowing how to access those resources, whether they are internal to me, my own resources, or whether they are external resources. Information and resources, very important. And I believe we all have the right to those as much as possible. And then there's a group of values that come for me that feeds into everything that I do, hopefully. And that would be kindness, respect, non-judgment, empathy. So it's kind of, it comes from feeling connected to others, but it also comes from all the other values I've just mentioned, really. And these are about understanding that whatever energy we are choosing to be in, that affects others and also changes others and changes ourselves. And that when we live by those kind of codes, really moment to moment, asking ourselves, is this kind? Is this respectful? Am I judging somebody? Can I understand that I don't know what their story is and that their perspective might be better, might be different from mine? All of those things come with those value systems. And of course, we all have hundreds of values, hundreds of them. But what I'm talking about is identifying the kind of top core values that you really would stand by in any situation. So I hope that you resonate with at least some of those values. I feel that you probably do, because you wouldn't be listening to me or watching me if you didn't. But I would love to get greater clarity over what you value. What are your core values? Just broadly, as I've spoken about, which of the values that I've spoken about do you think, that's really important to me as well, actually? It would be lovely if you could tell me what your core values are, or at least one of the one that you find would probably be the most important one, the one that you would choose over all others if you had to. and see how start to understand how that applies to your relationships, and to your life in general, and how it underpins any decision making that you may come across. And I would like to know whether I am on point, if you like, with my values, and whether you feel aligned to me, connected to me because of my values, the ones I've just outlined. And I don't mind if you don't, and I don't mind if this makes you think, oh, do you know what? Actually, I don't value any of those things. I think I might unfollow Rebecca. That's cool too. That's absolutely cool. It's better that you do feel aligned in some way, even if they're not in the order that I've put them in. Let me know whether you think we're aligned in our values. That would be really, really useful to know. That's it. And I wish you a beautiful week of freedom and integrity and authenticity and connection and kindness and respect and all of those things. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to hearing your comments.